I'm Stormy Collins.
And I'm Brenna Patrick.
And today we are going to be making group norm nachos. So welcome to the Stormy and Brenna cooking show today. Group norms are the foundation of any community that define the particular standards with that community.
We will be cooking in the kitchen today because kitchens are usually very well lit, seldomly dark, have tables clear of everything, and very little distracting objects. These are the same things deaf people use for accommodations in everyday life. If they can't see you, they can't talk to you. And if there's too many things in the way, then there's no way they're going to be able to communicate in a very good way.
Our first ingredient is hugs. And hugs are very important in the deaf world because it brings them closeness. Deaf people usually hug other deaf people more than hearing people, just because hugging is more socially acceptable in the deaf world. And then in the hearing world, they don't do it as much, but there's nothing wrong with that. Those are just the two differences between the worlds, but they really love to hug one another.
The next ingredient we'll be adding is eye contact. In order to talk to a deaf person or a deaf person talk to another deaf person, you have to look at them in the eyes. If you're not looking at them in the eyes and you turn around, it means you're no longer engaging with that person. Eye contact is a very strong group norm and is the glue that holds it all together.
Our next ingredients are direct and bluntness. In these two pictures, as you can see, this person has gained a little weight and this person has gotten taller. So in the deaf world, if two deaf people are communicating and they see a physical difference, then they are automatically going to ask about that physical difference because they are curious about it. It's distracting if they don't, get that out of the way, and they love to reason everything.
Unfortunately, sometimes too much logic and too much reasoning can be a problem. For example, if you did put on a lot of weight, a deaf person will tell you, why did you get so fat? It's a little hard to hear if you're not from that world. But you have to understand that they need to get out of the way so they can stop being distracted. However, extra hugs will be in order if there's too much directness put into our nachos because it will make it taste sour and bad.
Our next ingredient is a deaf person meeting a hearing person. Because the deaf person will have to accommodate to the hearing person. So they'll just try some things out, try and get that understanding of how much sign language or how much a hearing person can understand a deaf person. And so they will try and accommodate to the hearing person so they can try and communicate as much as they can with one another.
They mix it all up. And for example, with the deaf versus hearing, if you're talking to a deaf person and you only know how to maybe say your ABCs, a deaf person might, for example, just spell everything out for you. And then another example, if you don't really know anything, deaf people tend to write on a piece of paper or anything so they can tell you what they need. Because it's like Spanish, if you don't know it, there's no way to figure it out without some help and visual representations.
So, like Brenna was saying, these things make up the deaf community, their social norms, and so it's really important to have hugs because, like I said before, it gives them closeness, and they really like to hug one another.
You need eye contact to initiate and end almost every conversation, which is the core of what communication is.
And then you do need directness and bluntness because if a deaf person is wondering why you gained some weight, it's going to be distracting to them and they won't be able to communicate as effectively as they can. So they will want to ask, at the start of their conversation to get that out of the way and so they can have a better conversation.
And as we've also learned, sometimes being direct is just too much for people to handle. Deaf or hearing. So you have to put a little extra love into your mixture for your nachos in order to make it taste sweet.
And then a deaf person accommodating to a hearing person is important, so the two people can still communicate with one another, whether it's just finger spelling with, putting letters together to make words, or if they know a little bit of sign language, but usually it is the deaf person trying to accommodate to the hearing person so they can communicate effectively.
All of these combined make up the community that is the deaf world. The deaf world and the hearing world are very different places, but both have social norms that people go by and live by every single day. Thank you. I'm Brenna Patrick.
And I'm Stormy Collins.
Have a great day.